Plami, and in this episode of Plami's Thoughts On, I'm gonna be sharing my thoughts on the 4th episode of the 2nd and final season of The Walking Dead World Beyond. And honestly, something you can already tell by the length of this video, I don't think I'm gonna really have much to say about this episode. Not necessarily because it was bad, but because just not much happened. It was very much a catch-up kind of episodes where you have all the characters get caught up on everything that has happened. And despite the fact that when looking back at the episode before I sat down and did this review, because I am doing this review like 2 weeks after the episode aired, both on AMC Plus and on TV, which, by the way, I'm sorry that I've taken so long to do this review. I just kind of was held up by my personal life because of certain things, and just now I have been able to sit down and record it. But despite the fact that looking back at the episode, it's actually not that bad, when I watched it, I was just kind of pissed off and didn't really enjoy it that much. Again, it's not bad. It does continue development for some of the characters, and obviously we needed a lot of the things that were said in this episode, and a lot of the things the characters learned to be learned. I don't know, it just still felt like a filler episode at the end of the day. But yeah, in this episode we have Hope being taken by Hug back to the perimeter, which is the community where everybody is staying at the moment and planning what they're going to do going forward. From right now, there are Will, Felix, and Iris are there. Percy and Elton arrived there last episode, and the thing that this episode confuses me about is I was under the impression that last episode Iris, everybody saw that Percy and Elton arrived there. Like, how the hell did Felix and Will not know that Percy and Elton were there? Like, it just confuses me, because in this episode we have Percy, who obviously still wants to take revenge on Huck, steal a gun, and go after Huck, who led Hope to the community because she wanted to meet Felix and the rest. So she ends up walking around and wandering around. I don't understand why she was just wandering in the forest there, but Percy's after her with a gun and tries to kill her. Then Will interrupts by showing himself to her and showing that he's alive, which kind of, I guess, causes for her to become on their side, because then they end up telling her that the CRM for some reason ended up killing all the people back at Omaha. But the confusing thing is that before Will and Felix go after Percy to stop him from killing Huck, they act as they didn't know that he was there, because Felix literally says, you might think I'm crazy, but I think I saw Percy sneaking away with a gun from the armory. It's like, didn't they know? And if they didn't, why? That's such a weird oversight to have there, because I was just confused. How did they not know? Because I was under the impression that they did. But still, that's really a minor detail. Overall, in this episode, what we have on that side of things is essentially Huck and Hope learn the truth that the CRM truly did what they did, because they learned that Omaha is dead in the first episode or two, but now they know that the CRM killed them, or at least that Iris, Felix, and the rest think that the CRM killed them. And you know, something that really bothers me, and it actually continues to bother me for episode 5 and 6, which is how far I am when I'm sitting down and recording these episodes, is Hope's weird infatuation with the CRM now. Like, I understand that that's where they wanted to take the character, and that's her development, because in the beginning of the show we had Hope be the hateful and angsty one, and Iris be the one who cares and is following the CRM and everything. But now we have the opposite, with Iris being the one wanting to destroy the CRM and thinking they're evil and everything, and Hope seeing the good in them. And I get that that's their development, but it's just fucking infuriating to see somebody that I actually related with a lot in the first season because of her rebelliousness and her angstiness, as somebody who also loves to rebel and question everything. It's just really infuriating to see somebody be brainwashed like that. And I do consider her brainwashed, because that's kind of what the first episode of this season was about. Her getting brainwashed that CRM is the last light of the world. So even if they're evil, you shouldn't be taking them down, but try to fix them from the inside or whatever. It's just weird for her to defend them like that. Even when she learns that, she doesn't feel angry at them. She doesn't want to completely destroy them. And I feel like that's the reasonable, or that's a normal reaction one should have. She doesn't have it. She feels way too considerate of the CRN, you know? And just bothers me like that. Obviously, though, she learns that they did that at the end of the episode, and she isn't as infatuated as she was, but even in the following 2 episodes, she continues to be like that, and even in episode 6 is even worse, in my opinion. And the show even points it out, kind of, but I'm gonna talk about that in that episode. We also have Hook learn that fact about the CRM, and she is also not really willing to believe it. And there's a really cool interaction between her and Felix, with her asking, well, why would they do that? And Felix saying, well, why don't you tell us? And I really like that interaction there. Then we have a little bit of a moment later on where Felix considers killing Huck, but he ends up not doing so, which is kind of weird for him to do, because considering afterwards he ends up protecting Huck from Percy, who also wanted to kill for a more understandable reason, that she killed his uncle. And obviously he also doesn't end up killing her because Will interrupts that by showing himself to Huck. And I think that's the biggest thing that probably shook up Huck and kind of maybe switched her all to their side. At the very least, put her on the fence about it, because before that she was completely on the CRM side, but now she's a little bit questioning because of that, because the CRM claims that he died on accident. Clearly he's alive, and they tell her that they tried to kill him, so her confidence in the CRM now is shaken a little bit. On the other side of the episode, we also have a little bit of a catch-up with Silas again, with him dealing with the culling station and culling the walkers and everything. And we have a really cool, one really cool walker where it's a walker who walks and another one who is around his neck, kind of. Like, that was kind of really cool. The one thing you can never fault a Walking Dead show is for their zombies. Like, it's always been amazing, and it will always be amazing no matter what. And I feel like sometimes people really don't give the praise to the Walker makeup that it deserves, because no matter what, you can always rely on the Walkers being realistic and being believable, and that really works a lot in making you buy this universe. Because I've watched, or at least seen, videos of other zombie shows like Black Summer and a recent one, I think it was called Day of the Dead. And the Walkers are nowhere near as interesting, even compared to the Walkers that we got in like the first few seasons of the main show. They just don't look as good because it's not Greg and Nicotero doing them. So that was a really cool Walker. And we have a really interesting interaction between Silas and the leader of the culling place for the Walkers, who really seems off like he would be a hard ass and an asshole, and he is for the most part, but he seems to also have a little bit of a nicer side, because once he notices that Silas, as his hand is hurt, he takes him to, I guess for lack of a better term, office, to his place in that culling facility, where he takes care of his arm and removes it. And it's really funny to me how in that interaction Silas brings up that he is worried about Huck hurting his friends and family, and when you realize that this guy is actually Huck, whose real name is Jennifer's husband, it's really funny how he says you shouldn't let that asshole named Huck mess with your friends like that. It's really funny that he literally is saying that about his wife, but he doesn't realize that. I'm curious where his character arc is gonna end. In general, I'm really curious where this show is gonna go with this season, because it seems there's a lot of build-up, And I'm not sure how much of a payoff there is going to be. It really kind of feels like this is just going to be building up for the movie, and we might get a lot of these characters in the movies, which I wouldn't be against, but yeah, I don't know, we'll see. Just a lot of build up, and I'm really curious to see where all these characters are gonna end up by the end of this show, because we only have, at this point, up to which episode we are, which is episode 6, we have only 4 more episodes, and shit is gonna start ramping up, and it's already started ramping up with episode 5 and 6, if you ask me, but yeah, we'll see. I kind of like him though, and there's actually, for those of you who didn't catch it, a little bit of an Easter egg connection to the main show, which is a connection that we also had in Fear the Walking Dead back in season 5, which is a vinyl record, I think that's what the word for it is, of Beta. Because for those of you who didn't know, Beta from the main show was Half Moon, who is a country musician. That's what he was before the apocalypse. And there was an Easter egg in season 5 of Daniel carrying a vinyl record with his face on it. And in the shot where the leader of the facility is taking care of Silas's hand, you can see another vinyl record up above him, and that was really cool to catch as well. Although I caught that by seeing people's comments about it, because I didn't catch it myself because I wasn't focusing on looking for that, you know. So yeah, at the end of the episode, they plan on getting inside of the CRM facility and getting Hope and Leo out, and they are going to use Huck as a mole, essentially, to get them inside and help them out. And yeah, there's just not really much to say about this episode. It's not necessarily bad because there's nothing really outrageously bad about it. It just was a little boring when I was watching through it first. Although, admittedly, I wasn't in the best of mood when I watched it, so that might have affected it, but I just didn't really care about it too much, you know? Which is also why I'm gonna give this episode only like 7.4 out of 10. Probably closer to a 6.4, but I feel like that might be a little bit harsh. But yeah, I'm gonna go with 7.4 out of 10. It's not bad, but it's a little uneventful and feels very much like a necessary filler episode more than anything. But considering even in the episodes which are not necessarily filler and we actually have some stuff happening, in those episodes not much happening, it just really makes those filler episodes that much worse, you know? So yeah, not bad, but overshadowed very much by the next 2 episodes, which I'm really excited to talk about, so let's end this one, I guess. And yeah, what did you guys think about this episode? Comment down below and let's have a discussion about it. Before we end this video though, I just want to give a huge shout out to my currently 2 patrons on Patreon, Omari Bridgman and Deadpool. Thank you guys for subscribing to my Patreon, I really appreciate it. I hope you stay on there for a long time. And now, before we end this video, I just want to talk about something to you guys very quickly, which some of you may or may have not noticed before or know about me, that being the fact that I am trans. And yes, this may come as shocking to some of you because I don't really flaunt it that much on my channel, or at least I feel like I don't. Outside of like my K-pop reactions, which is where I feel like the most comfortable being myself like this. And yeah, I am in fact trans. I'm not necessarily full-on male to female, but I heavily want to transition to being pretty female. I do consider myself more non-binary though, or maybe gender fluid would be the best descriptor as well, because I do have occasional moments where I feel fine being like just a normal guy, but most of the time, like right now, I do feel very dysphoric. And that's why I'm asking you guys for any help that you can give me, because my situation right now, I don't really see any way outside of you guys' help. Because, and this is gonna be kept short and concise, I live with my parents. They're never going to accept me as a trans person. They just never will. And as a matter of fact, back when I started the YouTube channel, I was actually kind of slightly starting my transition back then, with like starting to grow out my hair, I even got to DIY HRT, but because my parents started noticing certain things like my behavior had changed a lot and my clothes had changed a lot, I kind of had to stop doing that because they were constantly nagging me about cutting my hair and just started to kind of be threatening in a certain way and felt like they were ashamed of me and everything, and that just kind of stress just tired me out to the point where I just gave up. But as dysphoria goes, it just doesn't go away, you know. I still feel like this, and in fact it's somewhat been intensifying again recently, so I just wanted to share this with you guys. And again, I would really appreciate any amount of support you can give me in regards to this, because I just don't see any way out of this. Because even if I moved out of my parents' house and got myself a job and everything, that's just not gonna work for long-term planning, because once I transition, it's like I probably will not be able to get myself a job because my country is very transphobic. Nobody gives a shit about LGBT people at all. So there's not even much I can do even in terms of transitioning here. So yeah, I don't know. I just would appreciate any amount of support you can give me, be it monetarily or in any way otherwise. And this is not about boosting my channel or anything, or guilt-tripping you with my sob story. I just wanted to get this off my chest and make my subscribers aware of the situation that I am in, and that I would appreciate anything that you guys can help me out with. It would mean literally everything. Like, for example, a friend that I made after starting this YouTube channel, my good friend Yuri, has been helping me out a lot. And I genuinely might have not been here if it wasn't for him showing up and befriending me. So yeah, this just went a little bit longer than I intended, but I would just really appreciate anything you can support me with. That's kind of ultimately what I'm trying to say. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe. Also, check out the description to my Twitter if you want to follow me over there, and to my Wattpad where I post my stories, because in addition to doing all these videos on my channel, I'm also a writer. And if you don't enjoy my stories, or you simply enjoy my videos, you can head over to Patreon where you can pledge your support and help get the channel going, help support me so I can keep writing the stories you enjoy. But if you don't want to do it, that's completely fine. You can still help me out in other ways, like liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and especially sharing this video with somebody who you think might enjoy it. And I think it's pretty much it for this video, so hopefully I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye!